Let me be clear, I wasn't expecting anything from this movie. It wasn't necessary to make, apart from the money.
Only money.
But there's a reason this franchise has been so successful. 1 and 2 had solid stories, great humour, and an emotional weight that was perfectly balanced. Despicable Me 1 is one of the best animated movies of the century and holds up very well. But what's really kicked this franchise into being so popular is the Minions. And whether you hate them or love them, their presence leaves a huge print on these movies. The Minions have become so big. Universal and Illumination don't even need to make movies to profit from this franchise. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether it's Hollywood or some third world war-torn country, you'll find a Tubbs Minion duck figure or a Minion phone case somewhere. They are everywhere. They are now the stars of the Despicable Me franchise. Now, the last Despicable Me movie was in 2017. It was not good, the plot was lazy, he had a long-lost twin brother. Wow, how original. The villain was fun but ultimately wasted when you consider the voice actor was Trey Parker, the co-creator of South Park. I was hoping Despicable Me 4 would redeem everything bad about the third. Kind of like how Shrek 4 was massively better than Shrek the Third. But like I said before, the trailer did little to excite me. And now having seen the movie, I would say it's had the same impact on its franchise as Kung Fu Panda 4. Just pointless and a whole lot of nothing. The best takeaway from this movie was the song, Double Life by Pharrell Williams. But the lyrics to the song didn't make sense because Gru wasn't living a double life and he wasn't really hiding anything. Which made me realise that the song is actually completely focused on the Drake thing and not on this movie. Maxime Le Mal, the worst villain I've seen and least entertaining, which is a shame because I thought Will Ferrell did a good job with the voice work. His whole conflict with Gru is so stupid and childish, it wasn't even amusing. His revenge plot was terrible, it didn't even feel like there was any conflict. So here's the premise of the story. Gru and his family are taken into a safe house which is located in an affluent neighbourhood. First of all, Gru and Lucy are more than capable of holding their own against a cockroach. That's right, you heard me correctly. Maxime is a cockroach mutant. He can turn people into cockroaches and he can even communicate with cockroaches, which is actually quite a powerful weapon to conjure. But does he ever utilize these creatures? Only once did he use them. Just once. Why? Because he's the dumbest villain in the franchise. I have no idea why Gru was scared of him and why he allowed AVL to relocate his family. And that leads to the second act. Gru and his family have to learn to hide their identities and blend into this wealthy society. Now that would surely lead to many comical moments, seeing how Gru interacts with stuck-up people and clearly looking out of place. So how does this all tie into the main narrative regarding Maxime Le Mal? It doesn't. This whole location adds nothing to the story, and what's worse is if it wasn't capable of doing this, you would be able to redeem these scenes with the slapstick comedy that this franchise is renowned for, or maybe focus on the familial dynamics between the sisters. Well, it doesn't even do that. Apart from the Minions and Gru's charisma, the comedy is quite flat. The situations are predictable and don't really have any consequences. And the family dynamics which Despicable Me 1 and 2 have been so good at doing, and is the ultimate heart of the movie which keeps you emotionally invested, is pretty much absent. Like Margot is in a new school, where she had to leave all of her friends behind, she is bullied in school, and all of these themes are quite relevant because you have to remember, the core audience is going to be a parent and its child. This type of scene would be the heart of the movie, but it's just sidelined and left unconcluded. Unresolved, which is really poor storytelling to introduce this subplot and to just abandon it. Leaving it unresolved is criminal. The focus of the parent-child relationship is on Gru and his newborn baby, Gru Jr. This was so unnecessary and made me realize, are the girls ever going to grow up? They've been the same age for so many movies now. This baby was not funny, he felt like a poor man's Jack Jack from The Incredibles. And you know what, it turns out that this movie was really trying to copy from The Incredibles during the third act. I couldn't help but compare it to Syndrome capturing Jack Jack. I couldn't believe how blatantly obvious it was. It was a clear rip-off, executed far worse. It was a terrible finale to a very underwhelming movie. Like I said, the song was the only good thing about it. The other aspect that I appreciated was the Minions. They didn't annoy me. They were quite entertaining and I enjoyed their subplot more than the main narrative. They actually come in quite handy in changing Gru Jr.'s diaper. I mean, as goofy as these creatures are, they do offer a lot and care about the family. Now the Mega Minions is the subplot that comes into play for the third act. 5 minions become superheroes, one can shoot laser like Cyclops, one is stretchy, one is indestructible, and so on. It was fun, pretty stupid, but honestly it was the only time I was enjoying the movie. And that tells you how pointless the main story is. If the writers didn't get the memo from the third movie, I think we've gone as far as we possibly can with Gru and his family. The addition of the baby was so unoriginal, the girls no longer serve a purpose, they are a happy family and it never felt like this was under any threat or jeopardy. So why make this movie, apart from an obvious reason? The only entertaining part of the movie were the minions. And the minions are what make Universal and Illumination so successful. So why not just make a third Minions movie? I'm not even a fan of the Minions movies. They're pretty average, but it would make more sense to make a third rather than a Despicable Me sequel. I felt like this movie was really struggling in how they explore the characters. Nothing progressed, everything meandered. Every scene felt as though they were setting up a different conflict, and then it's all forgotten about in the end. What this movie really lacks is a coherent structure. You don't use the setting of Mayflower to your advantage. You introduce this rich family and don't really do anything with it. It felt like the writers had 10 different story angles and they crammed all of this into one without any structure. It's all over the place, the animation, pacing, and voice acting is really saving this from being a total train wreck. For me, the Despicable Me movies have gone as far as they possibly can. I thought they could pull off a Shrek 4, instead it was a Kung Fu Panda 4, because they did the same stupid thing when they brought back all the villains from the past, which meant absolutely nothing and was completely pointless. So yeah, 4 out of 10. The song is great, the movie, not so much.